What began as a quiet diplomatic adjustment has now turned into one of the most surprising geopolitical developments in the Arctic. A single administrative decision, simple on the surface, has sparked a much larger shift in influence, strategy, and alliances. Before diving deeper, remember to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any major geopolitical updates shaping the world right now. For the first time in history, Canada has established a consulate in Greenland. A move that stunned analysts because it arrived without any long lead-up or public build-up. Greenland responded with an enthusiasm that immediately caught international attention, revealing a sentiment that had clearly been simmering beneath the surface. The reaction suggested not just approval, but long-standing anticipation, as though this connection had been delayed far beyond its natural timing. The significance was unmistakable. A region long overshadowed by larger powers openly welcomed closer ties with Canada, at a moment when global competition for Arctic influence is accelerating. Greenland's enthusiasm signaled that this wasn't just another diplomatic formality. It was a shift in expectations about who Greenland sees as a constructive partner, especially at a time when it seeks more autonomy over transport, resources, and its economic future. This development also reverberated across the broader Arctic landscape. Canada's presence arrived precisely when Greenland is attempting to escape the expensive, restrictive transport systems inherited from Denmark. At the same time, it offered a partnership model very different from the pressures Greenland has faced from other powers. Instead of asserting ownership or strategic dominance, Canada offered collaboration, respect, and regional balance, an approach that resonated deeply across Greenland's political landscape. For years, the United States viewed the Arctic as a sphere where its influence was assumed rather than negotiated. That assumption began to crack when Washington floated the idea of buying Greenland outright, reducing the territory to an asset rather than an autonomous region with its own people, culture, and aspirations. Greenland firmly rejected the idea, signaling discomfort with being treated as property, and quietly opening the door to other forms of partnership. Canada stepped through that door with a strategy that contrasted sharply with Washington's. Instead of presenting itself as a buyer or overseer, Canada offered a practical, respectful pathway built around cooperation. Analysts argue that this difference in tone played a decisive role. When one power leads with pressure and another with partnership, the preferred path becomes obvious. And Greenland's reaction made that contrast clearer than ever. Another layer shaping this shift is the deep cultural and historical connection shared between the Inuit communities of Canada and Greenland. These ties stretch back generations across the Arctic waters. This shared heritage has formed natural channels of trust, something Washington simply does not possess. For Greenland, a partner who understands its culture isn't just politically convenient, it's strategically stabilizing. This trust extends directly into economics. Greenland has been working to move away from raw extraction and outdated supply routes toward a modern, clean, sustainable economy. Its development model for the next decade focuses on hydro-powered mining, renewable energy, low-emission production, and integration into high-standard, rules-based markets. With Canada sitting directly across the Arctic, offering cheaper shipping routes, clean hydropower, technical cooperation, and supply chain access, the alignment became almost inevitable. Greenland has already begun establishing frameworks that match Canada's strengths. The territory struck an agreement with the EU in 2023 to build a sustainable mineral chain, and Canada's approach adds a complementary route, one that helps Greenland connect to North American markets without compromising its long-term goals. In a world increasingly shaped by competition for critical minerals, this alignment could redefine the Arctic economy for decades. Geography makes this even more consequential. By mid-century, the Arctic is projected to open as a seasonal shipping corridor between Asia and Europe. Greenland sits at the center of that emerging network, not as a remote outpost, but as a major waypoint. Canada's early positioning, through infrastructure, diplomacy, and technical cooperation, places both countries at the forefront of the new Arctic trade map. This new corridor could transform Greenland's role from a peripheral island into a logistical anchor. Mines powered by hydro energy will be able to feed cleaner supply chains, meeting strict emissions requirements that traditional extraction methods cannot satisfy. Canada, with its experience in low-emission production, becomes a natural collaborator in building that future. In this emerging landscape, Greenland stops being viewed as a distant outpost and starts becoming a central hub in the evolving Arctic economy. The combination of shorter maritime distances, reduced transportation costs, and reliable clean energy turns the island into a destination rather than a detour. What once seemed like an isolated territory now carries the potential to act as a gateway for responsible mineral processing, a staging point for trans-Arctic shipping, and a key contributor to global clean tech supply chains. Hydropower gives Greenland something few resource regions can offer: an environmentally compliant foundation that aligns perfectly with the tightening regulations across the European Union, Canada, and portions of Asia. As more countries enforce carbon limits on critical minerals, Greenland's naturally low-emission production becomes not just an advantage, but a requirement for future competitiveness. This gives the island leverage it has never had before. Canada's involvement strengthens this shift. Its long-standing expertise with hydro-powered mining, indigenous-led environmental governance, and clean supply chain certification offers Greenland a blueprint that is both practical and politically stable. By working together, the two regions can build a system where minerals are extracted, processed, and transported under standards that are already compatible with major Western markets. The partnership is not symbolic. It is a technical pathway for Greenland to participate in high-value industries it could never enter alone. This cooperation also shields both sides from previous obstacles. Many early Greenlandic mining proposals collapsed under the weight of their fossil fuel demands, which would have made their output non-compliant with EU rules. Linking with Canada's clean power model avoids those dead ends. Instead of competing against coal-powered supply chains, Greenland positions itself within the emerging class of low-carbon producers that global investors increasingly prefer. As climate policies tighten, this alignment will matter more than ever. Together, both territories can develop a model that avoids the fossil fuel traps that halted previous mining proposals. This shift feeds directly into a broader question: which model will define the next century of Arctic development? Pressure or partnership? Washington's earlier approach, built on leverage and ownership, pushed Greenland toward defensive positions. Canada's strategy, centered on cooperation, shared benefit, and respect for identity, aligns more naturally with Greenland's long-term vision of autonomy and economic independence. As this story unfolds, the world will have to choose which path it sees as sustainable: control or collaboration. The Arctic is rapidly becoming one of the most strategically valuable regions on Earth, and the alliances formed today will shape the next era of global competition. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you stay connected to every major development shaping the geopolitical landscape.